Imu'S efforts to take over Elbaf, because my man Loki did nothing wrong. He was framed, and I have the evidence that will help beat all the allegations. Shanks' evil twin brother wants Prince Loki, and the Holy Knights will do anything and everything in their power to achieve this goal. Now, I have had my doubts about Loki being the dangerous criminal that everyone keeps labeling him since the moment we met him. I instead believe that Loki was actually framed by none other than Shanks' evil twin Pranks. He pranked Loki. Let me explain. You know, earlier when I said, what if the government is involved in taking the warrior out of the culture of Elbaf? Well, I believe this might have been going on for over 60 years, all the way back during the time of Mother Carmel, who was secretly working for the government by giving Cypher Pole orphaned children with good lineage factors before Big Mom ate her. Look at this panel of Ja Rule 63 years ago. He points out that decades ago, Mother Carmel was talking about the same ideas of trade which King Harold vouched for before his death. The old king often butted heads with the Greybeards of Elbaf, who still cherished their warrior culture. So what if the bitchifying of Elbaf is actually a government psyop to make the giants so docile that if the giants become weak and don't have the strength left, then naturally pirates will jump the island trying to plunder. So then the Marines will have to swoop in to help the giants of Elbaf defend against the pirates in exchange for heavenly tribute. And some giants will be forced to become Marine soldiers, as we saw with Kaido being sold off to them by his own king. This is right up Imu and the government's playbook, as they even have a history of tricking giants into doing their bidding, as we saw with Oimo and Kashi that were tricked into guarding Eni's lobby for their bosses who were supposedly in prison when they were having their 100-year duel in Little Garden. Now, I'm not saying trading with other islands and not being as violent isn't a good thing. However, if your island's entire existence and autonomy relies on you having strong warriors, making Imu think twice before launching an assault, then it does pose a problem when you lose those strong warriors over time as the culture shifts. What if Loki had found out about this plot and instead he was framed by the Holy Knights as being Harold's killer? He already had a bad reputation since birth, and having the king who wants openness and trade with everyone to die a martyr would definitely strengthen his agenda, which aligned with the government. Just last week, Loki had a Discord call with someone named Shaggy, who pointed out Loki's inward kindness, which he desperately tries to hide with the whole "I'm a badass warrior" routine, which might be a hint by Oda that Loki isn't all that bad. Plus, what if the reason Loki hates Shanks so much is because evil Shank was the one who killed his father and framed Loki? Since they both look identical, Loki thought it was the real Shanks that did the deed. However, since Shanks has a good reputation with the giants, no one would believe Loki. It's kind of like with Usopp calling for pirates over and over again until no one believes him because everyone has a preconceived notion of him as a liar. And with Elbaf backwards being Fable and the connections of Usopp with the giants, I wonder if Oda is making Elbaf a mirror of Syrup Village, with Loki crying wolf that Shanks killed his father, which no one believes but is actually technically true. If you become too peaceful, the world government might just roll you over. Remember, the reason Elbaf has been left alone for over 800 years is because it takes almost all of Imu's resources to try and subjugate such a strong country. So it makes me wonder if the neutering of Elbaf's warrior culture might be a government plan. But not everyone is like these kids, because my man Colon sneaks up on Luffy thinking he outmaneuvered an emperor of the sea, which just leads to Bruz being smashed to the ground with Gear 3. I get out of here.
This is trash.
Luckily, Luffy didn't actually hit the kid, but that doesn't stop the other giant babies to cry and call our boy a meanie. However, the kid who actually got packed is ecstatic to meet an Emperor of the Sea, as he is the resident delinquent. If you guys remember back in chapter 1076, this is the same kid who wanted to join Shanks' crew. So he's well acquainted with pirates from the outside and is a parallel to Luffy as a kid, but for the giant side. Furthermore, Ripley scolds the boy to not not cause such a scene at the same time complimenting his strike. You're not really scolding him. Colin then gives Ripley the basket of food he was carrying as they contain all her favorites. Now, at this point, all of us are thinking the same thing, right guys? Miss Ripley is a baddie. He brought his favorite biology teacher some food. Nope, turns out Miss Ripley is actually Colin's mother, which shocks everyone, including me. But the bigger shock comes when Colin reveals that his father is actually a human, so we all have a chance. Apparently, he used to be a pirate and didn't fear anyone, not even the warriors of Elbaf, which makes me think that we're talking about Scopper Gaban. Which other pirates fits this description? Like, to get with a giant like Ripley, you'd have to be an S-tier pirate from decades ago, as giant children take way longer to grow. So my guess is after the Roger Pirates disbanded, Scopper Gaban made his way to Elbaf, smashed Miss Ripley using the owl's rear fruit powers, and the rest is history. Furthermore, since we now know Colin's father is a human, it's also confirmed that this individual is still in Elbaf, as if we go back to chapter 1032, when Colin got the food from the bartender, she also gave him his father's favorites to him. So we are very close to meeting Scopper Gaban. It just fits, alright? And this party is gonna go on for 3 days, and I'm pretty sure we will see Gaban showing up. Especially since his powers have to do with axes and just how pivotal role axes play in Norse culture, it just makes sense. Even the fact of Gaban being the one marked by flames that could know the history and secrets behind the road poneglyphs and the history of the world, it's Gaban, alright? I'd bet money on it. Okay, can we stop with the dragon coming to Egghead thing being wrong? I get it, alright? Like, I got betrayed by my man. I stay loyal. He's coming to Elbaf. Let's move on. That's all I'm gonna say about Dragon this chapter review, this episode. They will come and get me if I speak more. If you enjoyed this, watch the One Piece video on screen right now, bro. Hey,